And welcome back to yet another review by Zombill. In today's review, we're going to take a look at a product that came direct from the manufacturer, Greenleaf Technology, I believe is how they pronounce their name. But it's a mod that is made by a group called Pioneer4You. Before I start, I must point out I did receive this free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. So my opinion of the product will remain true, honest, and accurate as always. It's called the 722. And this is the box it comes in. This is actually the full kit, which I haven't seen anyone else put up yet. So, what comes in the box? Go ahead and do just a little unboxing here real quick. It's a magnetic box. And you get a magnetic box. Most of your standard kits come nowadays with magnetic boxes. And you know, on the box it says Super Wattage System. That's Pioneer4You up there in the corner. Now I turn it around on the back side. It has Pioneer4You, and then it says Shenzhen Greenleaf Technology Incorporated Limited. So I imagine Pioneer4You must be like a subsidiary of Greenleaf Tech. So what you get in the kit is you get a Z-Addy Pro clone, which is known as the I-Addy. You get a 26650 Blue Label battery, which wasn't included with this because customs, so they just left it out because I already had some anyways. You get the manual for the 722, and you also get the mod, the 722, which we're going to be going over in great detail. So that's pretty much what you get in the box. So before we go over to the table and start talking about 722 and the SX220 and Pioneer4You, let's have a quick vape, and then we'll go to the table. This is the 722 mod. You have a top cap, which has 6 air channels cut out in the top section here for airflow. Really thick, massive piece of steel. Very chunky piece of steel. Some people would also consider it to be a beauty ring. Goes on top of the mod. On top of the control head, I should say. Then you have the control head, which we'll come back to. Then you have the tube that basically is very well machined. Very well machined. Big chunky threads. Very big chunky threads. Big beefy chunky threads. This is made from stainless steel. Some parts have chrome. You have the well ventilated bottom cap. The bottom cap has 8 vent holes in case of battery catastrophe. Now the spring for the battery is a big chunky spring. It's actually made of 24 karat gold plated material. It's a really big, thick, chunky spring, very durable. Probably lasts a lifetime. And as I said before, top cap or beauty ring has got 6 large air channels cut out in it, and they're pretty big. There's not going to be any issue getting any kind of airflow into whatever atomizer you place on the top of the 722. Now the control head, as you can see inside, it's got a brass contact on the inside. Fire button is very clicky. Can you hear that? And the center pin, I have to get my tool out here to show you. Give me just a second. The center pin here is actually a spring-loaded self-adjusting center pin. Shouldn't be any problem whatsoever with flush mounting any kind of device on top of the 722. The screen, of course, is an OLED screen. So you want to take the top cap and put your top cap on like so. You'll hear it kind of click in place when you get it to the top there. Big chunky threads. And you can see there's a bit of chrome here at the bottom where the stainless steel is. Gives it a bit of a nice look for a feature that it has. Really interesting look that it has. Now take your tube there. You can use it in either direction. And I always set mine up with the bottom cap first. I just put the bottom cap on first, like so. Then I get my 26650, and I use the Sony rated 30 amp for 26650s. Just put it in there. Then when you put it in the control head there, you'll see the Pioneer4You symbol come on there. And the SX220 will come right afterwards. That's the designated name for the chipset of the mod. So now you've completed putting together the 722. So now we're going to take a look at some of the stuff that has to do with the OLED screen. First of all, when you first install the battery, you get the Pioneer4You and you get the SX220 chipset number. Then when you turn it on by clicking it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you'll get the Pioneer4You and the SX220 screen again. So why it is that we have to see it twice, I don't know. The way that you turn it off is you go into the menu, you go 1, 2, 3, and that locks it. Then you go 1, 2, that unlocks it, and that brings that up. You go 1, 2 more, and you get into system, turn it to the left, it says bye-bye. That turns it off. I'll explain it again here in a minute. Let's disconnect this, like we're going to change the battery out. Big chunky threads. So we've replaced the battery. The screen's going to fire back up. Okay. Now, when I fire it back up, it should have the same wattage that I had on there before we replaced the battery. So let's see what happens. Pioneer4You, SX220, and 11.2 watts. It kept the memory. So 722 will keep its memory whenever you change the battery. If you click it 1, 2, 3 times, that locks it. Now to unlock it, you simply click it 1, 2, 3 times again. 1, 2, 3, that unlocks it. Now to get into the actual menu, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're into the menu. Now we can adjust the wattage. If we go to the left, you'll see that it scrolls the wattage down by increments of 0.1. And it'll go down to 7 watts. It will not round robin. Now if we tilt it to the right, it will increase the wattage by 0.1 at a time again, and it'll go up to 22 watts. Hence the name 722. Now depending on how far you tilt, it will speed up how fast the wattage increases or decreases. So if you want it to go slow, you just tilt it just a little bit till it starts flashing and it will go slow. Want it to speed up, tilt it a bit more, and the sucker will take off like a bat out of hell. Now one of the neat things about this is that if you want it to stop on any particular wattage that you're trying to get to or close enough to it, all you have to do is just hit the button and bam, it'll stop. So since we clicked the button at 15 watts, it stopped it right at 15 watts. So now let's get back into the menu. Now the other two features in this menu are, you have exit and you've got system. Now in system, as you've seen earlier, if you turn it to the left, that will turn the mod off because it'll say bye-bye. Now, if you turn it to the right, nothing will happen, as I'm about to demonstrate. So why they have that in here, I don't know. Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. The only other feature left on the menu functions is the exit feature. Now, if you tilt it to the right or if you tilt it to the left, it'll exit out to whatever wattage you have it set for, which in this case was 15 watts. Now, I'll show you the other way as well, which is to the right. It exits out 15 watts. So that's all the menu functionality that 722 has. Pretty simple. Pretty cool. Now let's talk about what's on the OLED screen. At the top we have what our current wattage is set to. You fire the button with an atomizer on it. That's the wattage we're going to get, 15 watts. The battery symbol underneath of that is actually the battery indicator, and it shows to some extent how much life the battery has left. Then underneath of that, there's a number, and it's trying to guesstimate on how much of a charge is in the battery right now. And since this is a fresh battery off the charger, it's about 4.2 volts. Now, since we don't have an atomizer on here at this very moment, it automatically has a 2.5 ohm load resistance on the inside circuitry. And that's the reason why it registers at 2.5 ohms. Now, currently, it would be set to fire at 6.12 volts, my bad. And that's a non-adjustable voltage too, by the way. So let's put an atomizer on there. Resistance changed to 0.5 ohms. Now, of course, the number changed. It shows that it's at 2.73 volts. That's the voltage it's going to fire at because it's at such a low resistance. Now, according to the manual, it's only supposed to fire within 4 to 8 volts. However, I know from personal experience being able to test this mod thoroughly that it will actually fire between 2.5 to 8.5 volts. Now, the only other thing that I can mention right now is that anything below 5 ohms, this mod will not fire, and it will show on the screen that it is low res. So like I said before, I've got my crown on there, and the crown looks pretty good on here, by the way, I have to say. You know, how fitting for the 722 to actually have a crown on top of it. So it is a beast of a mod, you know. Got some other 26650s I'm working on getting in too, so. Now, a few things I want to go over about this mod, okay? One of which means that, yeah, okay, when you first put the battery in, it says Pioneer4You, SX220, and then when you fire it up, it does the same thing over again. So, in essence, why are we getting 2 screenshots of the same thing when all we need is just one? You know, it would be nice that when you put the battery in, yeah, we get the company marker saying that it's Pioneer4You and the SX220, but then when we turn it on, maybe we don't need that a second time, you know, because we already know that it is the SX220 that's in here, and that Pioneer4You makes it. The other thing that kind of boggles my mind is why 0.5 ohms? Why not lower? You know, I figured the whole thing about going to 22 watts was so that people who sub-ohm could go lower. I mean, personally, I don't find that that's too low because I don't tend to go lower then 0.5. I mean, I did it once. I built a quad coil that went to 0.2. I found that it was too hot, and I rebuilt it, and I jumped it up to 0.9. So that was cool, you know. And yes, building a 0.9 ohm quad coil is very difficult to do. Let me tell you. Hey, let's have a vape, you know. It vapes very well. Battery life on this thing seems to just last and last and last. It chucks out the vapor. You know, you could probably beat somebody down with this if they pissed you off good enough. You know, however, I don't think people are going to walk around town carrying this. I mean, yeah, I could see people joking, maybe go to Vape Bash or some other kind of convention trying to wear this with a lanyard. I don't think so. This thing is too heavy. It's pure stainless steel. I mean, every bit of it is stainless steel. The only thing out there that I know of that compares to it, well, there's a couple things now that compare to it. I guess the Hades would be one, and then the Vapor Giant would be the other. But neither here nor there, you know. Performance on this, because it is variable. It's variable wattage. It's not mechanical. It's gonna vary, you know, per user, because as they say with e-juice, um, it's all in, you know, what accounts per the person, um, because what I like is going to be completely different than what the next person likes. You know, it's all subjective. You know, but it's still a top-notch mod. You know, regardless, because it's not. It definitely is a step above the Vamo V5. Definitely, because this was, say, what, 2 years ago? The Vamo V5, the technology that's in this was a couple of years ago. The technology that's in this, that's now. You know, I mean, this is comparable to the DNA20. This is comparable to the Sigilli 20. You know, it's well worth the money too, in my opinion. This is definitely going to be a budget-friendly mod. So, what else do I need to go over about this here? Is there something else that I needed to say? I thought there was. Let's have a vape while I'm thinking about this here. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, too. Because it's a variable wattage, it's still got a 10-second cutoff. So, keep that in mind. Alright? 10-second cutoff. But, you know, all these things, they still go in, you know, one direction. One direction. And what is that? Gets people off of the cigarettes. And that's what they were intended to do. And that's what they're doing. You know, so it doesn't matter what you put on this. The fact is that it's working, you know. So I figured I would show a couple different things on this too while I have it up on the video, as like some other reviewers would do. Alright, why don't we take a look at the ever popular Aero tank. See, now that fits down in there with the beauty ring on. Okay, so let's see if it gets enough airflow to it. And I'm gonna have to adjust the wattage. So let's see here. Let's dip that all the way down to 7, shall we? There we go. Alright. 2.1 ohms. Let's fire it up. Plenty of vapor, plenty of flavor, plenty of airflow. So works with a ego type connection. Now let's see. Let's put a bottom coil claramizer on there that's been rebuilt. We'll see how it does. This is the Hypertank 2. Very rare here in the United States. Alright. Let's jack this up to... let's run this up to about 30. Now let's go about 12 watts. 11.9 watts. We'll just say 11.9 watts. Yeah, we'll just go 11.9 watts. And this is registering 1.1 ohms, so you know there's no way I'd be able to fire that on a Vape. Here again, you know, plenty of vapor, plenty of airflow. And that's because it's got these really deep air channels, and it's got that adjustable center air, or that I'm doing a Zombill here, of course. Everybody group vape. It's got that self-adjusting center pin down in there, and it's got these really, really fat, deep air channels all the way around that top ring. Now, this is the one that I had built as a quad coil. Let's see how well that performs. And just for the purpose of this review, we'll just max the wattage out. Uh-oh. Oh, here's the screen. Somehow, the coil has went down on me. It's become a 0.4. Either that or else maybe it's not reading it right. I got to show this to you guys. See, it's saying low res because it's at 0.4 ohms. So anything below 0.5 ohms, this thing will not fire. That's interesting because, I'll have to check this later on my meter to see why. Because it was built for a 0.9. Somehow, something's happened. And we'll go one last Addy here. The Addy that was sent with it. The iAddy, which is the Z-Addy Pro's clone. Alright, now this is a Jenny tank, Genesis atomizer, and just to show you what I've done with this, the wick there has a point. Oh wait, no, let's see here. It's a 0.9 ohm coil. Alright. So we're going to keep that about 12 watts because I don't want to burn my throat. Plenty of vapor production on this too. So even the atomizer that comes with it, I had to rebuild it. You know, of course it came built, but it wasn't that great. So I had to actually redo it. So that's the 722. A great mod in my opinion. This is probably going to be carried at quite a few places. Be on the lookout for this. It's not going to be too pricey as far as I know. I did get this free for purpose of review. Um, and I want to thank the guys at Greenleaf Pioneer4You for sending this on to me. So I hope you enjoyed the review. Please subscribe to my YouTube. Okay, so let's give it one big final send-off. Got this thing maxed out 22 watts. Let's do it. Happy vaping, my peeps.